Aries, welcome to your August 2018 tarot reading and astrology reading, of course. So, big elephant in the room is the Mercury retrograding in your 5th house of romance. Now, one thing I'm going to say to you is before anybody gets nervous, before anybody freaks out, and before anybody thinks this is the worst thing ever, Mercury doesn't ruin your personal life, okay? It just ruins communications. It doesn't even ruin it. It makes things a little bit more open to misinterpretation, open to misunderstandings. And the thing about the world and the diversity within it is that a lot of people, in fact, a big proportion, I think it's a pretty hefty proportion of people are born with Mercury in retrograde in their natal chart, so it doesn't affect them as much. So oftentimes it's easier for people that have a retrograded Mercury to go through this period, or it's easier for people that you're dealing with that have this placement to go through this period. So misunderstandings are, awareness is brought to them, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not as intense, okay? So, it's not as intense as everyone thinks. Mercury retrograde is very common. We're used to dealing with all the time. Venus retrograde is more unusual. And we still have Mars retrograding, and it's going to be in your 11th house, which is Aquarius. So that is the social scene, social sector, your relationships with people, humanitarianism, charities, your wider networking, that sort of thing. It then retrogrades into Capricorn, which is 10th house, which is career. So we have a bit of an interchange between the two, I guess, and that you're dealing with the way you relate to your co-workers, the way you relate to the people that can influence you in your life, helpful people in situations. May seem a bit harder to come by during this period, but it doesn't mean they're not there. So similarly, Venus is going to be in Libra, which is your 7th house of partnerships, which is what Venus rules, which is what Libra rules. So for you, it's incredibly potent, okay? So Venus going into that sector will be incredibly good for your romantic life when we still have Mercury retrograding through your 5th house of romance and, of more of a dating scale. Venus is in a pretty solid place when she's in Libra. So don't worry too much about how this is going to come in and reflect on your love life. We have a full moon in Pisces towards the end of the month as well, which is 12th house energy, very mysterious, a lot that has been hidden. Could certainly come out during this full moon, and that's not always a bad thing, because people hide their feelings, people hide the rawest emotion, people hide their truth, which is oftentimes what we want to hear as people, but it's very hard to be that kind of vulnerable. You may find that someone's more vulnerable with you, and it'll be appreciated because as an Aries, you're very direct. And sometimes, yes, it is actually ironic that it's harder to be vulnerable with an Aries because you worry about their honesty or their straight to the point attitude. So if you're wondering why people aren't always as direct with you, that's why. Because when it's vulnerable, when it means a lot, they don't always want to be told just how it is for fear of it not being the way they'd wanted it to be. So I'm going to get right into the reading here. We have a lot of 5th house energy going for you guys anyway, so I sense romance is going to be incredibly important this month. But aside from that, the skies are actually looking pretty good, which is nice. I mean, we've been going through these retrogrades for a while, so you guys know what's going on anyway. We're all kind of used to it by now. When everything starts moving towards direct energy, nobody will know what to do with themselves. We've all been chucked right into the deep end. We're all swimming. Okay, so there may have been some sort of conflict we're going into the month with. This could be the miscommunication that I'm talking about. It is Wands energy, which can be Leo energy. Wands are also communicative energies, so the communication's friction. It's not a massive card, This is always about... it can be banter, it can be playful gestures, it can be playground games with somebody that you like, somebody that likes you. What's crossing it, however, is the 6 of Cups. So this could be somebody from the past. It could be a feeling of nostalgia, or it could be fighting in the home, okay? So it could be that maybe you're not getting along with your siblings or the people in your immediate environment. As I said, Mars moving from the 11th to the 10th house on the 13th can be problems with the people that help you, okay? So communication may not be so strong there. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. I know you guys are very direct and I know you guys are very honest, but there's sometimes you just have to curb it slightly. This may be one of those months. In the past position, we have the Death. So some of you may have been dealing with a Scorpio. Some of you may also, when I see death, I see the horse, which is quite obviously dead, and I think don't flog it. Don't flog a dead horse. It can be that you've given up on something that wasn't working and you're going through a new period, and maybe you guys have been holding on to somebody for too long and it's been like flogging a dead horse, and the reason the Six Cups is crossing you is because this person is familiar, this person is comfortable. Maybe you've known this person a very long time. For others of you, I sense that it's a relationship that's already passed that you maybe can't let go of in your mind, and Mercury retrograding in the 5th house is pronouncing that energy, it's enhancing it, it is sharpening it, it is making you more aware of people gone by. It's maybe making you more aware of the nostalgic part of your mind where you think, I had it really good then, I don't have it so good now. Hindsight is 2020. We have the Queen of Wands in the past position, so some of you may have been dealing with another fire sign, or you could have been dealing with the more feminine aspects of yourself, you know, your intuition, your sensitivity, your nurturing elements, you know, being in touch with the feminine. For others of you, dealing with a Sagittarius, a Leo, or a fellow Aries, or someone with a moon or rising in that position. We have the High Priestess crowning the reading, so certainly, as I said, with the feminine aspect, your intuition is going to be important. The way you see people on a between the lines basis. So the things that you're picking up that you don't necessarily see obviously. Mercury retrograde is an interesting time to try that if you've not done it, because people don't always say what they mean or mean what they say. And sometimes being a little bit more sensitive and reading between the lines and saying, oh, this person's reacting from fear, this person's reacting from hurt, is going to be pivotal in making moves this month. So particularly in your love life, if you are dealing with a past relationship, maybe the problem is that you've not forgiven them, or you've not forgiven yourself, and it's hurting you rather than them. There's that expression by Oprah Winfrey, which is it resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die? It may be anger. And in holding this negativity towards them, you're not harming them, you're harming you. And I'm not asking you to forgive anyone that's harmed you if you can't do that, but I'm just saying that it's for your benefit rather than them. It's not about protecting another person, it's about protecting yourself. So incoming, we have the King of Swords. Could be an air sign, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. If not, it could be sun, it could be moon or rising. It could also be somebody who works in law enforcement, someone who works in the legal departments, civil departments. Could be somebody who is for some of you, it could be somebody who's professional in sporting. For some of you, I'm getting hunting, and I don't support hunting, but I'm just picking up hunting for some reason. For some of you, there is a romantic prospect here. So it doesn't tell you on a page that it's the beginning stage of something or an offer coming in. We have the moon. There's a lot of Pisces energy here, by the way. High Priestess, the moon, the Page of Cups. Could be the full moon at the end of the month, as I say. I think this will reveal something you'd not expected, or possibly, you know, something you'd suspected but not been sure of comes to light. There's going to be a degree of certainty comes from this very mysterious moon. For you guys, of course, 12th house energy, Pisces is the 12th house, you're the first sign, so a lot of the time astrology affects Aries at an incredible level that it doesn't always be as specific with the rest of the signs. For Aries, it can be very specific. Your hopes and fears, we have the Knight of Pentacles, so some of you are hoping for a new job, some of you are hoping for an earth sign, a Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, or some of you are hoping for a message to come through that promises you a happily ever after. And the outcome is the Knight of Wands. Okay, so this is interesting because this is your energy. As I said, it's also someone else's energy. It can be Leo, Sagittarius. But it can also mean travel or relocation. And interestingly, we have underneath the King of Wands. So some of you guys are definitely dealing with another fire sign. If not, I think a lot of you could be meeting a fire sign. I'm very drawn to Pisces as a sign in this reading and other fire signs for you guys, okay? These are the signs that are coming up very strongly. As I say, it can also mean relocating. It can mean travel. And travel will come up for most signs when there's a Mercury retrograde because it's always that you know, leave early for something, expect delays, be prepared. Hermit energy is here as well, so that could be that you guys are going on a retreat, or you guys are going away to get some clarity and some perspective. It can also mean that the answers you seek are within you. So if you are waiting for answers, as I say, I think intuitively you already know, and that's why the High Priestess is there and the Hermit. Okay, so the writing is on the wall. It just depends if you're going to read it or not. Ace of Swords is cutting through the crap. So crossed by that is the Knight of Swords, which again is a very communicative energy. It's about people that come back quickly and leave quickly. It may be that you're trying to rush something that's not ready to be said. It may be that you're trying to rush back to somebody from the past that's not being receptive. It could be that someone from the past has come back really quick and you're not trusting it, and there's arguments as a result. I think you guys have a very different communication style from who you're dealing with. With the Death card, we have the Four of Cups. So some of you may be reminiscing on someone that got away, that you maybe rejected to begin with, or someone that you let leave. I feel like that's very strong. There's a relationship that ended because you let it go, or you rejected it, and now maybe some of you are feeling a bit regretful of this. As I say, with the Six of Cups crossing you, it can be nostalgia. We also have the Two of Swords, so you're definitely not seeing eye to eye with somebody, and I think this could be the past person. It could very much be a Scorpio, or it could be a current fire sign that you're dealing with, because it's with the Queen of Wands here. And then with the Knight of Wands as the outcome, I sense there's going to be communication where there's been none, okay? So Five of Pentacles, you've been out in the cold, or you've been doubting your intuition. For some of you, it's really that the things that you've been saying, or the things that you've been suspecting, have put you out in the cold with certain people. Because it's with the High Priestess, so trusting your intuition has maybe gotten rid of someone that was being a little bit dishonest because you caught them out, and now you're doubting yourself and you're thinking you pushed them away, but in actuality you figured them out and they'd nowhere else to go, okay? So if some of you are being nostalgic about somebody that you suspected was up to no good and you accused them of such, I think they've actually left because you were right. A lot of the times people get that wrong. Their intuition's very, very, very strong, and then they think they've pushed someone away from fear. Okay? And that's not always the case. A lot of the time in hindsight, you see that you were actually correct. Your intuition was spot on. And with the Mercury retrograde energy, maybe you're beating yourself up about it. Maybe you're going over it, and maybe you're not seeing things as they were. Maybe you're seeing them through rose-tinted glasses. It's just what I'm seeing here. We also have another water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, and he's with the King of Swords. So, hand in hand, two kings together. I believe, actually, this came up in Scorpio's reading, two kings. And one of them was the King of Wands. And because Scorpio is a water sign, I do feel like a lot of you are dealing with a Scorpio, because you came up in theirs, they've come up in yours. And it could be that this person's very sarcastic and very guarded, and you're maybe not sure what way to go with it. I say sarcastic because King of Cups is a very emotional guy, but with the King of Swords, he can really bite. Could be two different people though. So maybe some of you have options. Temperance is here with the Page of Cups, so I do feel like your relationship with water signs in general are going to be in a very healing place this month, because it's with the Page of Cups. You may find a new romantic partner if you're single that heals you from the old ones. You may find romantic peace. You may find you forgive yourself for your past romances or your past mistakes. Okay? The Moon card is beside the Star card. So this represents the full moon in Aquarius that has just passed, because Star is Aquarius, the moon is the moon, and it was the lunar eclipse. Now, that happens, as I say, in your 11th house of helpful people. So you may be realizing some people in your life aren't as helpful as they used to be, or you may be finding yourself meeting new people that are more helpful. But under the Mercury retrograde period, the Mars retrograde period, you're finding that it's a little bit difficult to ask for help, or it's a little bit difficult to reconcile with people that maybe you've lost contact with when you really need them, okay? So I'm sensing something to do with people that are important. We do have the Six of Wands here in your hopes and fears, so you guys are hoping for success. And then we have a message coming through regarding work, or a message coming through from another fire sign. underneath we have the Two of Wands. So this is making a decision for some of you about relocating, and this is making a decision for some of you between two kings, swords and the cups. And I think a lot of you are going to be traveling for work with that aspect, the Knight of Wands and the Page of Cups. And a lot of you are going to be making a decision in terms of the home. Some of you seem to be going, when I see the Knight of Wands and the Page of Cups, it can be custody battles, or it can be deciding where to move or where the children go because it's the page. For others of you, you could be considering the health of your children, or the health of your money, because Pentacles is of course finance. With the Knight of Wands, you're wondering if you're in a financially stable position to move. So there's a lot of different things going on here already in this reading. It's quite packed, but I'm going to go over one more time and clarify the end goal here, because you always need clarity on two kings that are side by side, because there's fundamentally a kingdom has one king. So I think a lot of you are going to have to make a choice that you don't want to make, maybe with the Eight of Swords here. Crossed by the Page of Wands, yeah, you're reluctant to make a decision, you're reluctant to I think some of you are actually holding back speaking your truth because it's got you into trouble. World card in the past, so something definitely finished and it's been completed. There's your energy as well. You're reluctant to make a decision that I can see here, but you're gonna have to. Judgment means you have to make a decision. And with the High Priestess, it has to be intuition guided. You have to trust your heart and your feelings. Okay, so with the two kings, we have the Three of Cups. So this is definitely a third party situation. King of Cups and the King of Swords and the Three of Cups. I do feel like a lot of you have to choose between someone who represents the King of Swords and someone who represents the King of Cups. Maybe somebody is more head over heart and the other person's more heart over head. These two are very different. They're very, very, very different. And I almost feel like one of them is more compatible, but there's less spark. And the other one, there's more spark, but they're less compatible. It's sort of, there's a reason you can't choose. There's a reason some of you can't choose. For a lot of you, you've not been put in this situation yet. You're probably watching this in July, early August, and you're wondering where they are. But these are people coming in the immediate. Maybe some of you are already in this position, but I feel like possibly through socializing and through connections, as I say, this 11th house energy, and then the solar eclipse in your 5th house of romance, you might have to make a big choice. I also feel with the solar eclipse in your 5th house of romance, you are going to be presented with more than one romantic opportunity, okay? So that's what I'm seeing that as. A lot of you maybe aren't there yet, but it's in the future. Eight of Pentacles, you're working towards something as well. Some of you are studying. The Sun, and the outcome is the Queen of Cups. So a lot of you are going to choose a water sign. Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. Scorpio's definitely in the past position there. And let me see. Do you know, I think I see something about, this is just for some of you, but that are dealing with family. There's a restored relationship, because this kind of looks like a family to me. There's the Queen, so it's like the matriarch. There is the Knight, which is the younger male that's younger than her, and then younger than them both is the Page of Pentacles. So you could be dealing with a water sign, fire sign, and an earth sign in a family sense. But I almost feel like there's healing regarding a child that's maybe been troubled. And you're reluctant to send a message because you're afraid. Now, this is probably not for many of you, but you're afraid of being out in the cold with someone. There's an element here of building bridges in the month of August. Okay. There's the Queen of Cups. She's a real healer. She can be a therapist. So some of you are maybe in family therapy. Maybe some of you are in romantic therapy. She's a healer. She's a giver. She gives emotion. And I see a nurturing relationship where the child is sort of in, between two people, people looking after this child. So I think for some of you it's romantic for sure. I think you're going to have to choose between two people. It's even more heightened when I see a page and a knight beside each other, because I'm like, they're still court cards, people choosing between two different people. So effectively we have the King of Swords, air, King of Cups, water, Knight of Wands, fire, and Page of Pentacles, earth. But the common denominator here seems to be water. So you're going to be going for either the water sign or the person who's more emotionally fulfilling and compatible than the person who maybe there's a bit more of a spark with. You guys make the right choice. And I'm sort of seeing this as a very positive month in terms of romance. I feel like for a lot of you, you go into it one way and come out of it completely different. Some of you are going into it holding on to a past person and coming out of it with either that past person or a new person. Either way, it sort of seems like when you make that decision, it just clarifies everything for you. And I do feel like towards the end of the month, everything is going to be so much more clear. Mercury goes direct on the 20th, and with the solar eclipse in your house of romance and the full moon in Pisces, it's the stuff that you weren't sure of. Maybe you weren't sure of someone's feelings. Everything becomes clear, and I think you're going to be really happy with what you find out, Aries. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I will see you in September. Bye.